All right, so welcome everyone to ALAA workshop number 3, and today we will be focusing on writing and publishing journal articles. And it's a great pleasure to have Dr. Bronwen Dyson, my colleague at the University of Sydney, to kindly agree to run the workshop for us today. And before we talk about Bronwen, I'd like to acknowledge our country and pay respect to the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, and it is upon their ancestral lands that we are located all over the place in Australia, and of course people are from overseas as well. So as we share our own knowledge, teaching, learning, and research practices across country, may we also pay respect to the knowledge embedded forever within the Aboriginal custodianship of country. So I'd like to say briefly about Bronwen, and of course, you can tell us more about yourself after, and tell us then what you like to do today. So Bronwen is my colleague. I've known Bronwen for many years. At Sydney University, she's a very active, very generous. Bronwen teaches developing research proposals and thesis writing for postgraduate students, and a very popular course there. I always send my students to her so that they learn about proposals and prepare themselves for academic writing. So very experienced, very kind in running projects and workshop for students. So I invite Bronwen to run the workshop for ALAA. And also in connection to ALAA, Bronwen is the associate editor of the Australian Review of Applied Linguistics. And we put her to do the job straight away. Apart from doing that job, we put her to do this job for us too. So we take the opportunity to do that. Bronwen's research is in writing you can tell us more. Maybe you tell us more, Bronwen.
Yeah,
I don't want to make a mistake saying
Thank you
something
for
that's
your
not right.
generous introduction. Yeah, I work for the discipline of English and writing. And in writing studies, it's a rhetoric and composition focused part of that discipline. And I'm the only linguist among my colleagues, but I bring to what I teach in academic writing and thesis writing and writing for publication my linguistics. I think it's a very special view of teaching that we bring, and I inform that with my research on language development, particularly English language development, and how that interacts with teaching and assessment, and more broadly, questions like of language policy and international students, which is what I'm going to touch on today. So that's me, and I'm delighted. Thank you very much for inviting me to present.
And if you heard of Penniman's processability theory, and if you can read more from her work as well. Bronwen has written a book on that too. So it's really good way to translate that into different context and situation, right? So that's fantastic. So that's something you can look up, Bronwen Dyson for processability theory. Good promotion, right?
Yeah, very good.
All right, I'll let you run this now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And before that, I think we will have we'll aim for 10 minutes break at after 2 o'clock. Is that okay? 10-minute break, and then we can come back to this and that. So after 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just went out of the slideshow. Okay. Yeah, so this is my plan for today. I've talked with Ake about it. We're just starting with some introductions, letting you introduce yourselves briefly, your name and university and the topic of your research and your goal in attending this workshop. And then we're moving on to three main topics. First of all, targeting appropriate journals and understanding editorial expectations, then how to write journal articles effectively in our discipline, and then responding constructively to feedback. Some of them very tough feedback, like revise and resubmit decisions, and then summing up your takeaways. So could we go around briefly? I mean, it'd be very, very helpful for me to know where you come from. It'd be great if you could turn on your cameras so we can see your smiling faces. Hi. We could go down. Andrew, could you just briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name's Andrew Maxwell. I'm a PhD student at the University of Canberra, and I'm looking. I've been a TESOL teacher for a long time, and that's sort of my area. And within that, I'm looking at critical thinking dispositions.
Right.
So it's a very broad area, but I come from a linguistics background as
Okay.
well.
And just your goal in attending today, Andrew?
Yes, I would love to. I've already written and submitted one journal article. It hasn't been accepted yet, but I feel like I'm not yet swimming in that area.
Okay, you're swimming in that pool. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thanks, Andrew. Vincent, would you like just your name, uni, topic, and goal for today?
Yep, sure. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vincent. I'm the final year PhD student. My PhD focuses on evaluating bilingual programs in Victoria. I'm also a social media manager of LTV, Language Teachers of Victoria. I'm also a guest reviewer of the TESOL in Context. Thank you.
Right. And your goal today?
Definitely is focusing on publishing articles in the linguistics field, because I'm pretty much now at the final year of my PhD. Would like to have some publications. Yeah,
that makes sense. Great. Yeah. Hushnawadi, you're next in my view. Just your name, uni, topic, and goal.
Yeah, thank you. I think we've met before when I attended the ALAA conference in Leicester. And Darwin, did you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I'm Husnawadi. You may call me Adi. I'm a PhD student at the University of Canberra, and my research focused on impacts of flipped learning on pre-service teachers, EFL teachers, writing performance and engagement. Yeah. So my goal is to attend this webinar is to learn further about publications and writing good research proposal or research papers. Yeah.
And Suchi?
Hi, I'm Suchi, as you can see, but I've been trying to change my name. The spellings, we're missing an E there, and I've been trying to figure out how do I change that. I might have to figure that out later. But a brief introduction to myself is I was with Monash University, and I'm currently teaching at Monash College. I'm with their academic English program. And why I wanted to join the workshop is I'm really interested in getting into writing and publishing, because I did this research project, but it's been a little while. It's been about 2 years now, and it was on linguistic landscape. It was a case study on Greek in Oakley. And then I've been thinking of, I have to get it published and get it going, but then just it's been sitting there. So I just wanted to get back into it and start writing, start publishing, and figure out how to get that going. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Waliyadin, you're next in my view. Hi.
Hello, my name is Bronwen, and I'm a PhD student at the University of Canberra. The same with Husnawati and also Andrew myself. And I think my this topic is about interpreting critical pedagogy in this line of teaching. And I'm attending these workshops. Hopefully, I can learn more about how to publish research article into journals. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi. Hi, Elena. Hi. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello everyone. So my name is Elena. I'm an early career researcher at the University of Melbourne. Few articles from my PhD that I would like to continue to.
Right. Okay.
Is about identifying appropriate job. I'm struggling to.
Right. Your connection may not be. Your connection may not be very good, Elena. Your voice
sorry.
coming. Just check your connection. But we heard.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Iris. Hi.
Hi, yeah, my name's Iris. I'm in my first year at doing a PhD at the University of Sydney, and I'm wanting to research the invisibility of Creole-speaking students in schools in northern Western Australia, where I used to live. And yeah, I obviously looking forward, there are some things that I know I will want to publish based on the research I do for my PhD, but there's even some things from like my time while I was working in WA and my master's from 4 years ago, and I think some of those things are really valuable and I just haven't done anything with them. So I would like to do some things with those as well.
Okay, thanks, Iris. And Phoebe, you're next in my view. Hi.
Hi everyone. My name is Phoebe. I'm from the University of Auckland in New Zealand. I'm a fourth-year PhD student, focusing on applied linguistics, family language policies of multilingual families. And my goal today is to just learn more about publishing, as I'm in my final year and looking forward to turn some of my research into publishing. And I've also worked collaboratively with some of my academic colleagues and supervisors on some research projects and have some experience in the process. So we'd love to learn more. Thank you so much.
Okay, Phoebe. And Keith. Hi, Keith.
Hi, Bronwen. Hi, everyone. I see a lot of familiar faces. Good to see you here. My name is Keith. I recently completed my PhD from the University of Sydney. And my research topic is on translanguaging in teacher education. The goal, I guess it's similar to everyone else here, is to get to know more about publishing, getting publication from the PhD.
Oh, great. Okay, thanks, Keith. Layli, you're next in my view. Hi.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nurlaili, but you can call me Lely. I just completed my PhD from Monash University from the Faculty of Education, and my research is related to multilingual students in English for specific purposes contexts. And my goals today is I just want to get more insights related to how to publish papers or articles, especially in my case from my thesis from that. I think that's all. Thank you.
Great, Nurlaili, thanks. Ivana, hi.
Hello, my name is Ivana, and I just completed my PhD at the University of Melbourne. The topic was on statistical learning in second language acquisition, and I'm here today to gain a bit more confidence and clarity around the whole publishing process. Thank you.
Thank you. And Victoria. you're next. Hi, Victoria.
Hello, my name is Victoria. I'm from the University of New England. I'm a PhD student looking at teachers' perceptions and practices around their students' heritage languages in the classroom. And also their capacity for agency in their context. My goal in attending is that I know I've always got more to learn. I can always learn more about publishing. So happy to see what comes up today.
Yeah, so do we all. Thank you. And Gageli, hi.
Hi, thank you. Nice to meet everyone. My name is Gary. I'm a PhD student at the University of Leeds, but I'm on a short visit at the University of Sydney, and my research is about vocabulary, plagiarism, and source-based academic writing of international students. And my goal in attending is how to cope with rejection.
Oh, that's a good one.
Like it's a very disheartening experience.
Yes.
And I know I have to stand up from here.
Yeah,
but,
that's right.
and a lot of people say it's very normal, but
It
yeah,
is.
still an
It's
emotive
a very normal part. Okay, thanks, Gary. And okay, Wally Yadin, I can't see you, but you're coming up in my view, Wally. Are you there, Wally? Yes. Did you present before, Wally?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Oh, sorry, you just, and Ling Ling, I don't think has.
Hi.
Hi, Ling. Hi.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Ling Ling, and I'm a prospective PhD student from the University of Sydney. My research centers around like the integration of AI in language education, so language teaching, etc., but particularly focusing on like teacher agency.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was a secondary teacher myself, so teaching Mandarin, Spanish, and ELD. And now, so my goal in attending this session is to turn my master's thesis into I don't know, possible paper, and lots to learn as I'm really new to this field, and it's also my supervisor and encouraging me.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Good connection. Okay. Hi, Viet. Hi. You're next in my view.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Viet, and now I am a PhD candidate at the University of Tasmania. So I'm in the third year, and the research topic is about writing strategies of L2 learners, undergraduate student to be specific. And like many students in here, my goal in attending is also learn more about writing and then publishing. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, God. Has anyone not introduced themselves? I think that's everyone, unless you want to put your hand up. No? Oh, good to hear. So many different universities and so many different topics, and a very common goal in attending. So that's where we can start. And
sorry, Bronwen, I didn't get to introduce myself.
Jonathan, you popped out. You were there, and then sorry, my apologies. Go ahead.
So my name's Jonathan. I'm doing my PhD at Charles Darwin University. I started in 2023, so moving towards the end. I've gone through various stages of the data collection research process and moving towards building my academic writing skills and hopefully to produce a paper within.
Your topic, Jonathan?
Oh, right, yes. Translanguaging with humanitarian entrants. So looking at their initial resettlement period and how they employ various strategies, multilingual strategies to assist them throughout resettlement.
Okay, great, interesting. So I just wanted to start before we go to the main topics by throwing in a little bit of rhetoric. We're going to be talking quite a bit about rhetoric today. as I belong to a department of writing studies or sub-discipline writing studies. I'm not sure if you've heard of Aristotelian rhetoric, but it matches really nicely with the idea of publishing because it has these three major rhetorical appeals. So one you can see at the top is emotion, and particularly the audience of the message, like the audience of the writing, that in the Greek that is pathos. And we'll be talking about that in relation to the journal editors, who we send our material to. And the second is the credibility of the writer, of the creator of the message, and their ethics in this process. And that relates to us, the writers, and how we create a credible message in our research articles. In the Greek, that is the ethos. And the final one is the logic and reason that we put forward in our research articles. That's our text. And that in the Greek is the logos. And what I want to do is move on, starting with the audience and the journal editors, and then moving on to the creation of the article and how we do that in a credible way, and then come at the end to the review process and how we, as the authors, respond credibly to the audience of the reviewer and their comments. There's a little bit of theory to help us conceptualize what we're doing here. And so starting with the first main topic of targeting appropriate journals and understanding editorial expectations, I don't want to talk a lot. I'm going to be giving you a lot of chance to talk and talk to each other. But just to frame this question of journals, as you may be thinking yourself, right? You're thinking of turning a master's thesis into an article, then you need to think which journal is the best fit for your research. And any Google search will come up with major applied linguistics journals. This was the result of my search. And you can see from that ones I'm sure that you would recognize, like the TESOL Quarterly or Studies in Second Language Acquisition, or Language Learning, Journal of Second Language Writing, Assessing Writing, and so on. There's a few in there that may not be quite as familiar, but it's a good thing just to share these this PowerPoint with you after, and you can refer to that. But just think for the moment which journal would be the best fit. And in working that out, takes a bit of research in itself. The starting point is to go into the journal website and read very carefully, as you can see from my bubble up here, the information about the journal. I've given you an example of a John Benjamin's journal, the International Journal of Applied Linguistics. They don't actually have about the journal as a little subheading. They have some text. You can see this text under the list of the editors, where they describe the ITL as a referee journal devoted to studies in the field of language acquisition in a multilingual society. So that's how they self-identify. And I took it as an example, it's just one among many, because it is one of the journals that publishes language policy. And I'm going to be illustrating from that topic of Applied Linguistics. It's really good to go right through the website of the journal, familiarize yourself with the editors, and you see here that, as happens with some journals like ALAA, a number of the editors come from the same institution. You see there that they do. And anyway, and then you've got these other parts of the site that you can refer to.
Bronwen,
You raised your hand. Yes.
Yes, I did. I did indeed. I won't take much of your time. I just want to say there are actually 2 journals that has exactly the same names. So this one is by John Benjamin, and the other one, the editor is Andy Gao, and it's exactly called International Journal of Applied Linguistics. And people might get confused, but this one, it has ITL in front.
Yeah, that's why they have. Thank you for clarifying that. I was a bit surprised actually when I did this search and found that it was a John Benjamin's journal. So that explains it, that there are 2. Thank you.
And one more thing, often it's confusing like that, right? Because so many journals are out there now, and like a journal like Language Learning, and there is another one called Language Learning Journal, and people get confused all the time with all of this.
Yeah, because they are proliferating. Many of the titles are very similar, aren't they? There's just one word different. So that's why it's important to do the research properly. And I mean, on this page of the ITL, you don't see the statistics like the site score and that sort of information, which is important information to know what is realistic for you for the research that you have prepared. You know, if you're trying to go for a Q1 journal or a Q2 or a more local journal, these are all decisions that impact on the likelihoodness of the research being published practically. So here is like our first activity for today. So I've put up a scenario for understanding editorial expectations. And what I think would be nice would be to go into breakout rooms at this point. But let me just explain the task and kind of give you a chance to talk things through. So an editor of an applied linguistics journal receives an article submission and must decide whether to desk accept it or desk reject it. I mean, meaning, if you don't know this terminology, if it's desk reject, it comes straight back to you without any reviewing, right? If it is desk accepted, then the article goes on to the reviewers, and they then themselves may subsequently accept or reject it. But it's important to understand that you need to get through this first hurdle with the editor. And this choice lets you know pretty quickly whether the journal is a good fit for your article. So, in making the decision, the journal editor experiences several dilemmas, and they may be one or more than one. The article refers to language policy, but has been submitted to a journal specialising in the assessment of writing, right? So the question of the topic of the research and alignment with the journal. The article refers to an empirical study or material from a university learning management system, but includes no reference to ethics approval, right? This question of ethics approval is becoming more and more important in gaining publication, as you can see, as I myself have experienced recently, even material that you have developed yourself, but maybe on a university system like the learning management system requires ethics approval. Another, that the article exceeds the word limit by more than the generally accepted 10%, and seems poorly proofread and referenced. Right, so here's a question about the text itself and how it is presented. And then another, that the article isn't accompanied by a cover letter introducing the author and submitted work. You see that cover letter, when you go into a journal site, a cover letter is one of the options that you have in the drop-down menu. So, yeah, indicating the importance of preparing, well, not just a cover letter, but a really nice cover letter that, has that emotion that I was talking about before, that connection with the journal. And then the article has chunks of text written in a style different from other parts of the writing. So this is hinting at, well, either questions of AI, right? AI having generated some of the text, or maybe other questions of ethics and plagiarism because of just the author having taken text from another piece of writing. So what should the editor decide? Desk accept or desk reject the submitted article? So
Thank you, Bronwen. I have created the breakout room for everyone. I will just place people in there. I already have done the screenshot on the chat there, so you might want to download that so that you can have something to refer to.
Yes. Thank
Sounds
you.
good. How
Yes,
long do
sounds
they
good.
have? How long do people have? 5 minutes?
Yes, that
Otherwise,
sounds great. Yep.
sounds good.
Yep, that sounds
Okay, everyone
good.
should join now, and we'll call you back in 5 minutes.
Can we share the screen again?
So everyone's back now. I don't know how to do it, Bronwen. It doesn't seem like I've sent it through successfully to people, the task. But anyway,
The next task or all those tasks?
task 2.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll see. I'll figure it out. So go ahead, please.
Yeah. So what did you feel? Can somebody tell us, from one of the groups, tell us what about the first, right? Is that a ground, if you choose a journal that's not aligned with your topic, is that a ground for rejection? Do you feel? Yeah. So that's an important choice to make, that one. What about the question of the ethics? Is that a ground for rejection? Yeah, Gary. Yep. Is that a ground?
Sorry, I actually wanted to comment about the first one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I think we were discussing that the first one is the one that's maybe quite subjective, like the other ones are quite mechanical and technical.
Yes,
Whereas
that's
the first
true.
one, in my context, for example, when it's about assessing academic writing, there's a lot of like policy happening there in terms of like plagiarism and academic integrity. So even though at this face level, it looks like it may not go well into that journal, but actually, like it depends on, I guess it's for me, the first one was the one that's like, I would like to know more. I think that's just what I wanted to add.
This one. Yeah.
Yes, because
where the topic is complex, right? And could relate to a journal in various ways.
Yeah.
It depends how specialized the journal is. I guess, would be my comment there, Gary. Like, if it is, I mean, the assessment of writing is a very specialised area, isn't it? You wouldn't submit an article on the assessment of speaking to a journal called the assessment of or assessing writing. But some of them are more like applied linguistics journals, which have a broader conception of what they're interested in. Yeah, so that's that. I mean, that's going back to that list that I showed you before, right? About how specialized or generalized. I mean, you just have to look at the terminology, like, acquisition. If you're not interested in acquisition, in the idea of acquisition, then you may well go to one that that has a broader reach, like language learning, right? Has a different conception of what is happening in the brain, right? Cognitively, for example. Yeah, it carries different assumptions. So would the others agree with Gary's that these 2 to 5 are more technical? Just a few comments. I mean, is it worth bearing in mind that these may be the grounds of rejection? Or can you get around a desk reject? For example, through the cover letter. I know a number of you were talking about the cover letter. Would a cover letter be a good strategy in some of these cases? Yeah. Like the word limited question, for example?
I have a question, if it's okay, Bronwen. So we discussed in our group how relevant is the cover letter. So we were unsure because, for example, some of my articles have been accepted even if I didn't provide a cover letter, and some others have been rejected. So I'm not sure it's a point that is that makes valid a desk rejection. However, I don't understand to what extent is really important to provide a cover letter and what we need to include in a cover letter. This is something that is not completely clear to me.
Yeah. I think the cover letter has become more and more prominent as part of the publication process. I think it started with the more scientific and medical journals and has spread to the social sciences. I don't know about the humanities. And I guess as publishing gets more and more competitive, if you do write personally to the editor in some way, just to explain, for example, there might be something difficult, like about the ethics question, right? Something that could lead to a rejection because anyone not knowing your study might assume that ethics was required, where you can explain why it wasn't, or you can draw attention to the fact that it was, if that is important. So I think it's what I have seen, and I don't think is good practice, is just to copy and paste your abstract into the cover letter. Right. I mean, that's duplication. And it's not designed to impress. Yeah.
Bronwen, can I add one thing to Elena's questions? Usually editors will not, I hope they don't reject straight away. Usually they would contact the authors to say, look, can you please provide the information, cover letter, this and that, then they can do it and then they can resume. But there are two options. There are two issues here. The first is if it's the online submission system, you can't submit without submitting the cover letter because there is a completion of different options there, like cover letter, article, tables, figure. You need to complete that, and then you need to proofread your things at the end that you have covered everything. You cross-check everything and then you submit. So in that case, it's impossible that you don't submit a cover letter. Another situation is when a journal accepts submission via email. In that case, people may miss And the edit, it would mean it's a small journal, and the editor would normally just contact the person straight away to do a cover letter. But I think it's a very good strategy to always have the cover letter, because it's about establishing your credibility and seriousness about it, and then you are aware of the policy around that.
Yeah, credibility. Yeah, that's a very good point about the online submission, right? That you have to tick. Every part of the submission gets a tick, and you can't press the button to submit unless everything's ticked off. And I mean, I haven't got a model to show you, Eleanor, like you were suggesting. When I wrote my last cover letter, and I wasn't quite sure what to put in it, I actually Googled, right, what to put in a cover letter. So that's
AI.
Yeah, you just go to AI. Sorry to cut corners in that case, but that is what I did. But I didn't accept all of the advice. I mean, I looked at it critically, and I did think quite a lot about what could not appeal to the editor about my article, right? What was different? I was submitting to an American journal I had never submitted to before on composition, right? Like a field outside my applied linguistics usual publishing. So I had to think hard about how I could appeal
Thank
to
you.
that journal.
It's very useful to understand that it can be used to draw attention to something that you want to, emphasize or even justify in some way. This is very helpful for me in terms of understanding how to structure the cover letter. And also, can I ask a follow-up question? You were saying the cover letter goes to the editor. So how important is to have an understanding of the board, of who are the editors of a particular journal in terms of making a decision if it's the right journal to send the article? Do you suggest do you have any strategies or any particular things that we should pay attention to in terms of looking at the editorial board? Thank you.
In my experience, it is the main editor who makes that decision, not the associate editor. So what I do is I just Google to find out who that editor is if I don't know the name. And if I do know the name and it seems like a good fit, that encourages me. So make sure you know who the main editor is, what their field is.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was just going to say it's also important to prepare a cover letter when you resubmit. If you receive a revise and resubmit, like a major revision, at that point it's a very good tactic to explain just very briefly, even though I'll go into what else you have to do, but to just explain briefly, that to assure the editor you have in good faith addressed the reviewer's comments. All right.
Can I add one more point, Bronwen, if I may? I would say in the cover letter, you need to say that you have not submitted this article elsewhere while it's being reviewed. Because a lot of people will feel like, oh, I'm going to submit the same one to that journal and that journal. By the time they take the time, I know which one they would accept and I would choose that one. It does not work like that. You need to stick with one article per one journal. You can then submit to a new one if they rejected your paper. You can't simultaneously submit that. And you have to say that in the cover letter.
Yeah, that's one of the pieces of Google advice. So, yeah. Thank you, Ray. Unless anyone wants to say any more, we'll move on from here. Okay, so I think that we've made the point of how important it is to understand editorial, or try to understand as best we can, editorial expectations along a number of dimensions that are there, like 1 to 5, but there are others. So moving on to the question of writing and the effectiveness of the writing in our field. What I want to focus on here is the question of rhetorical moves. Through AIC, we circulated a number of pre-readings, and one of those was the reference that you see here on my screen, the Wanarap and the Amnurai, the 2016 comparison of rhetorical move structure of applied linguistics research articles, and a comparison of international and national Thai journals. And what these authors mean by rhetorical moves, if you're not familiar with that term, is the North American understanding of rhetoric from John Swales, in which a move means a discoursal segment that performs a particular communicative function. Maybe you know this already, but I just thought best to make that clear. And what I have put in the chat, if any of you just to see, right, I saw Ling Ling, right, yeah,
Yes,
okay.
sorry.
Yes, Ling Ling, yeah,
Oh, hi.
yeah, you put in a topic, you put in a comment there.
Oh, yes. So I was saying it's a common practice to include a cover letter, as I have personally never heard. So
Yeah,
good to
yeah.
keep in mind. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Increasingly, in fact, as Ake was reminding us, required when you make an online submission. So it's important to prepare like a one page, not a very long thing, right? But outlining briefly your article and why you are submitting it to the journal, and any particular aspect of the article that you think the editor should be made aware of, like, for example, ethics might be one. And then, as Ed was saying, to underline that you haven't submitted your journal, your article elsewhere.
Right. Cool. Thank you. Thank you so
Great.
much.
Yeah, you're welcome. So what I have, maybe some of you can download the folder that I have uploaded. Do you see the BD and the download sign, the little symbol here? Ake was having trouble opening this folder, and I was wondering if you were having the same trouble. I've put the tasks, there's another task related to writing the article in there. Can anyone tell me if they can?
I have sent people the email with the task. If they can go to the emails and just download the task.
Right, yeah.
But I'm cautious with the time now. Shall we have a break before we start this?
Yeah, sure.
Or otherwise you might miss that break.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Shall we do quick break rather than 10? I think 10 seems like we consume a lot of time.
Maybe
So
5 minutes. Yeah, 5.
Yeah, we're gonna be effective. Or otherwise we need to have another workshop with Bronwen.
Yeah, if you want to stay here and just ask me a question, I will stay here.
Okay. All right. 5 minutes, everyone. I will see you soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Bronwen. I might ask a quick question while everyone's on break.
Go for it.
Yeah. I've done my masters and I've done a fair chunk of my PhD, and I feel I can grasp some academic writing styles quite well.
Yep.
If I was to, what's happened is I've a master's essay, for example, 3,000 words, I could probably write to a defined question. Now that I'm coming up to a PhD,
Yeah.
right? Because I did my master's by coursework. I've done a PhD. I'm doing my PhD, which I've probably written about 60,000 words of
Right.
it, which is a fair chunk.
Did you do a thesis before you started the PhD?
No, I only did a master's by coursework.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's one of the
that's
challenges I've had.
Exactly.
I did a lot of short essays and researches.
Yeah, that's right.
I've done a couple of
challenge too.
Oh, you had that was the same situation for you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
But
so
they didn't have a research component in the Master of Linguistics that I did. Yeah. Yeah, so I found writing a journal article really useful, right? As a way to get into writing the PhD, right? To just have all the components, the same components, like we're going to talk about now, right? Having the introduction and the literature review and the methodology and understanding better the function of each of them.
Yeah, I agree. It's more condensed and succinct as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I like the
Yeah, go on.
no, the articles that you provided, the pre-reading ones that compared that dilemma between native English speakers and non-native English speakers in terms of academic writing, and how, there's no real advantage to being a native English speaker.
No. One of my colleagues says academic writing is everyone's second language.
Yeah, it certainly is.
True. It's true. Yeah. And also because, I do feel in Australia, we're not trained to write academically. We're trained in other types of writing, but before university, right? And then you get to university and this different writing style is somehow very different to what we have been used to. And I found the other difference that I experienced was between disciplines, because I've been trained in the arts and humanities and I had to switch to the social sciences. Did you have any needs like that?
No, well, funnily enough, now I've towards the end of my PhD, but I've been accepted into a medical program now.
Right.
And so I'm in medicine, and now I'm reading more medical journals.
Oh, okay.
And I've kind of put my PhD on a mini break, but it's been refreshing to review actually journals from a different discipline. Because there's still those similarities and parallels, but there's distinct differences in, I guess, their discourse or their, and especially the topics and agendas that they have.
And structure. They have a lot more structure. It's a much more structured approach in medicine. Like even in the abstracts are structured. You have the aim and
Okay, I'm sorry to disrupt your conversation, both of you. I think we should get going because it's
I
already
think we should too.
Thank you. We can talk more
Good to
after.
talk to you. Yeah, we can. All right. So I've just put up here exactly what you find in this article, the article that I gave you, that was sent around. So I'll just whiz through it and draw your attention to these rhetorical moves in the sections of an article, because the idea is that you shall apply these moves, apply this analysis to some writing drafts of an article that that has been distributed to you as task 2, right? So these moves relate to task 2, and you'll find the tasks in your email. Ake has kindly sent you around. So the authors of this article, in relation to introductions, in research article, they see these three moves that many of you may be familiar with, Foxwell's work. So M being move, so first establishing the territory of the topic with some topic generalizations of increasing specificity, so kind of moving from the general to the specific, and then down to the niche, with citations being required in the first and possible in the second, and then right down to the present work. And because in the draft articles I've sent around, there are both introductions and literature reviews for, as far as this analysis is concerned, both are analysed as introductions, right? So for introductions and literature review, you have these same move from the territory to the niche and then the present work. Then there are different moves for the methods or methodology, moving from the overview to the aim, questions and hypotheses, if there are, to subjects and materials, location, research instruments, procedure, and data analysis. So the typical components of methodological writing. And then for results, moving from some sort of preparatory information to the reporting of the results, commenting on results and summarizing results. And the final move, because I've grouped discussions with conclusions, the final move from background information to the reporting of results, summarizing results, commenting on results, summarizing the study, evaluating the study, and deductions from the research. So I know that's a lot to take in, some more familiar than the other. In order to make this a manageable task, the idea is that you shall apply these moves in this task 2, writing journal articles effectively, right? Task 2, critically evaluate the moves in applied linguistics research articles. So the idea is that by understanding these rhetorical moves, you'll have a clear structure, like an expected structure, to your article. And that is backed up in the Thai article that the material comes from. That is backed up by the analysis of the international journals and the Thai national journals. So what I would like you to do is critically evaluate 2 drafts of a research article in terms of strengths and limitations. What I think you will find is that one of those drafts is stronger than another draft because it was drafted later, right, in the drafting process. And each group should focus on a particular section of the drafts. That's what I would suggest to make the exercise interesting. And then come back with your observations at what your group has uncovered. Right? And I think Ake is there. So the idea is for us to move back into the groups that you had before. there were 4 groups. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. Can I ask you a quick question to clarify the tasks? Because in the file that you sent us, there are different groups there on in terms of methodology, right?
So there are 2. So there are 2 drafts of a research article.
So every
drafts
group
of
will
the
need to look
inter-
at 1 or 2.
So you should focus on a particular section and you look at the 2 drafts. So one
Okay,
draft
because
is,
there's one on methodology that I saw, for example.
well, there should be 2 drafts on methodology. There'll
Okay.
be 2 drafts on the introduction.
Shall we say group 1 you do introduction, group 2 you do that, and so on. So it's everyone's doing
Exactly.
different things, yeah.
That's so. But I think you form 4 groups, did you?
Yeah,
Like, because
that's
there
right.
are 5. So there are 5 sections.
Okay, we just
But
do 1 to 4, maybe better. Otherwise, we won't have enough time to run through.
Okay, so one group does the introduction. Group 1. Yeah.
So I'm gonna repeat now why we are still here. Group 1 is Ivana, Keith, right? And then group 2, or Bronwen, you in that group 2. Adi is in group 2, Jonathan, group 3, Andrew, and group number 4, Elena. Yeah?
Yeah.
So you know, like 1 means group 1.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
group 1.
Okay, Bronwen, you unmute.
Oh, we're back.
Sorry, every time I move, I go on mute. So the idea was to go through the article from the beginning to the end by group. So I was unclear whether any group looked at the introduction. I could only find one group dealing with the lit review. Is that correct? So the idea is to report on your understanding of the strengths and limitations of that writing, text 1 and text 2, in terms of the moves.
Shall we ask room 1 to report back? So Ivana.
Yes. Oh, Victoria says we looked at the introduction.
Yeah. So we have room 1 to do the introduction.
Yeah, Victoria. Yes.
Well, I'm actually in the same group as Ivana.
Yeah.
So yeah, and who else? Sushi and
So
Lily.
we have Keith,
So
Lily.
Yeah. So we don't have much time. So whoever wants to start.
Okay, I'll say a bit and anyone else can jump in too, but we looked at the 2 different introductions. One was much shorter, one was much longer. The first one was quite succinct. The second one kind of went into areas that might belong in other sections. So maybe a little bit there that could actually go in the literature review, a little bit that could go in methodology. It kind of strayed off.
Right.
It kind of went back and forth between the 3 moves as well. So it's kind of a bit less clear. Yeah. Anyone else?
Right.
That?
Yeah, it would have been better shorter, the more succinct version. Yeah. Do you want to add?
Yeah, I can share. I can share screen. I did a bit of color coding there.
Yeah, great. Okay.
So as you can see here, text 1 has clear 3 moves. Move 1, move 2, move 3, establishing the territory, and then the niche, and then distinct, as Victoria said. The second one is a bit messy. As you can see here, move 1, move 2, and then coming back to move 1. So if in revised, then the second one probably at least it needs to be clearer in terms of move 1, move 2. And then present study here, I highlighted in 2 different gray color because the second part is more about the findings. Actually, it gives a lot of arguments and providing some detailed findings here as well. So a bit more detail here, which can be more succinct. The next one is basically a methodological framing, which probably shouldn't belong here. And the last one is an outline, which also probably shouldn't belong here if it's a journal article.
You don't think so?
I'm not sure, but it's
We've
not.
talked a lot about overviews, haven't we?
Yeah, at least it's not in the 3 moves you have provided. So that's the.
Well, that's true. Actually, if you look at the article that I took the moves from, you do find the overview.
The overview, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
Hmm.
That's really interesting. Text 2 is closer to the published version.
Text 2 is close to the published version. Okay, that's interesting. Because
I think it's funny.
Good to know. Because we were actually talking about whether an introduction should be longer, providing more details about the first 2 moves, and I was saying yes, I would do a bit more in detailing the background and the gap in the introduction. For some, like other people would say yes, more succinct. So yeah.
Yeah, some applied linguistics and other disciplines do have very short introductions. And yeah, I have been having a recent conversation with a speech pathologist who wasn't convinced of that. But that's really interesting. The methodology actually is there in text 2 because the reviewer wanted it. They didn't understand the methodological mix in the article, but really good analysis. So shall we do the literature review? So that was
that's rule number 2. Bronwen, you were there, Jonathan and Viet.
Yes, I was popping around. But Jonathan and Viet had things to say. Who would like to comment or share your screen? Do you want to share your screen if you noted anything down that that would be good? Or did you want to say something, Viet? You had some ideas.
Yes, thank you. Okay. So for the literature, so our group also discussed about text 1 and text 2 and compare them. And we found that like 2 texts, they are kind of similar in length. And we also, they also have the citations and that kind of thing. But then we just tried out to try to find out the logic under the writing. And we find that the text 2 is more concise and direct and explicit to the point. And it also has a conclusion. I just mean that they review the field in comparison to each other. So here we have the points about the improving academic English through support and development. So they compare the support and also the development of the language and also the criticism about that as well, and then give the summary before they actually point out the gap in the literature. So I think the text 2 is really good in terms of that point, more direct, more clear for the readers. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. And more critical. And more critical too. Yeah, great.
And so for this part, I also have a question regarding to the kind of the reviews of the literature in the literature review actually. So how much we should review? We should go from sometimes from the very broad sense in our field, or should we just narrow it down directly to the research questions? So that is just like the points that I would like to ask. Yeah.
I'm sure you would find both in published work, going from the general to the specific, and then looking more analytically, like at the key words and sort of giving background, then a kind of critique, more of a critique. But that was a development in the writing, moving from the general to the specific to the more critical writing. So I put it there as an example of what you could aim towards. But I'm not saying that you couldn't publish the general to the specific, right? But but we do aim for critical writing, don't we, at the level of publication, especially in applied linguistics.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome. And then the method, who group 3?
Yep. So that's Andrew, Jerry, and Iris.
Yeah, who'd like to comment on the methodology?
I can. We found that sorry, it's making me refresh it, so now I can't look at it while I'm talking. Anyway, we found that the first one was longer and had a lot of reference. So it was an outline of a methodological framework rather than a clear. I mean, this depends on the type of paper, I guess, but if I'm someone who does field work, I find it a bit strange that there isn't an outline of the sort of concrete steps that the research took. But the first one was longer. It had a lot of things that might be considered literature as well as methodology, and sometimes we sort of had a bit of a conversation about that sometimes being hard to pull apart. We found that the second one was easier to read and more concise, and that it flowed better one idea from the other.
Yeah, and the tables? Did you notice the tables?
No, we did not.
Oh, okay. All right.
There's a blank page. Okay, that's strange.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we ended up focusing on just the first paragraph because we didn't know how much time we have. So we had a more, I guess, in-depth conversation about that and about opening.
Sorry. But there was, in this case, it wasn't a standard method. You're right. It was a framework followed by a method. The critical discourse analysis was put there as a method. Yeah, but that's why it wasn't a classical methodology.
So I take it back. The second one is longer.
Yeah, it is longer, but there are the tables.
Yes.
Yeah,
which makes it easier to understand. Yeah.
Exactly. And then the results or the findings, group 4.
Elena, Ling, and Vincent.
Anyone like to comment on?
Sure. Am I just gonna comment on the?
Vincent.
I'm from group 4, and maybe Elena and Ling can jump in as well. So our group looked at the discussion and conclusion between text 1 and text 2. I think we all agree that text 2 is slightly better than the text 1. I think the text 2 has a better structural organizations. I particularly like the way they're trying to directly respond to the research questions. There are like signposting of in relation to question 1, question 2, and question 3. Yes. I think they also separated the conclusion from the discussion as well. So I think it's easier for the reviewer to read and trying to separate those sections. So I think that the text 2 is slightly better than the text 1. And I also think that the text 2, by like more looking at it, I think the text 2 are more engaged with the broader literature. I think text 1 is more just reporting on what's going on of the research itself.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And that you could make a similar observation about the results. Who was in the results group? No,
we only had
nobody.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's worth, if you have a moment afterwards, it's worth looking at the results because there was this same progression from a more descriptive approach of in that case, one university, then the other university, to a more analytical comparison by the categories that were set up in the methodology. Yeah, so more of an argument and more critical. Yeah. So now you've thoroughly discussed my writing. Yeah, and you can see the process. And I hope that illuminates in a way the importance of the moves. I mean, when we're writing, students often ask me this when I teach, do I have to have every move? Like, as if you're bound by the moves, rather than bound by your own logic and what you need to say about your study. So you may not be bound by the moves, but they are a useful reference point, because unconsciously, when reviewers read your writing, they are ticking off if everything's there. A bit like we were talking about the cover letter, right? Even if consciously they're not thinking, they may not be thinking, they may be thinking this is very descriptive, and give that as feedback on your study, like the text one of the results and of the discussion. But they may not be able to say that in terms of the moves, right? The extent to which, say, implications were engaged with. So maybe that was a bit of a roundabout way of saying they may not be ticking off every move, but it's useful for you to look at the moves and understand the moves. Do you agree? Do you think that the moves are important? So it's about structure, the structure of your writing. But structure isn't everything. So you need to, but you also need to think about the content of that structure. And I think we have touched on that in the discussion, right? So you're not just using, to go back to the rhetorical triangle, right? You're not just using the logic, which is evident in the structure, but you're also trying to build up your own credibility, right? In each of those sections, right? So you're always thinking about the validity or reliability of your method, right? Not just whether the method follows the particular moves. All right, that's my little summary there. And I'm just aware that we've got one other thing to talk about. If we could talk about, is that all right? Unless anyone had any other questions, to talk about responding to feedback. Shall we go on to that? Yeah, let's do that. Well, that's an important next step. So, okay, so I'll just share. And so just moving on to this last task, responding constructively to reviewer feedback and revise and resubmit decisions. So in your pack, you have task 3. Oh, sorry, I've only got that. So in your pack, you have task 3, which has a number of pretty typical comments from 2 reviewers. And it's interesting to look at the differences between the reviewers. Do you have it there, Ake, or shall I? Do you have the doc there? So if you
Everyone should have it, but you wanna maybe share the screen
Yeah.
on that file in the Zoom here, so you can talk to the people, they can see it. You can stop sharing the screen, this one, and then share the screen on the Word doc that you sent us.
Yeah. Okay.
And also conscious of time, we have about 10 minutes left.
Well, that's why I was suggesting if you had it there, because I do have that. So here, that's us 2 and us 3. So perhaps some of you have responded to So can you see my
Yep.
screen with the Word doc? You can.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Thanks. So I don't know if many of you have done this, but when you when you receive a revise and resubmit, or you receive just feedback. You could also receive just feedback, and you need to respond to that feedback. You need to think about how you would respond to each of the reviewer's comments. And traditionally, what we do is create a table. So as you can see on the left-hand side, you've got the reviewer's comments, so reviewer 1 and reviewer 2. And then on the right-hand column, you have your response to reviews. And I haven't put anything in here except thank you for making that point to show that we must engage constructively. So yeah, this task, I don't know if we have time to form the breakout rooms again, do we? Or we could just have a group discussion.
Yeah, I don't think we can do the breakout now because it's now we have like 8 minutes. So
Yeah.
some people may have some questions for you or other things.
Yeah, or comments like how would you respond? So you see that the first comment to the author is quite hard hitting, right? Quite negative about the core of the study. So, however, I find it hard to reconcile between the objective. Yeah, hi, Iris. Yes. Yeah. What would you like to say?
Oh, that's fine. You can finish your point. I can go after.
Okay. So yeah, reconcile. You can see how basic this is, the objective and the framework, right? On the one hand, they do this, on the other hand, that. So how can you assess effectiveness of something when the policies themselves are flawed? That's, yeah. All right, you're good. You're good.
I just wanted to ask if a reviewer asks a question that you think they have misunderstood or they have misread or you disagree with them, are you able to say that, and how would you go about doing that?
Yeah. That's exactly the point that we need to discuss. I mean, the table, I just wanted to show the table in case people weren't aware of that, gives you the framework to do that, either to accept those comments and make the changes or to give your reasons for not accepting those comments. So you have that option. But at each point, you need to explain your reasons and also importantly, provide a page number in the text where you have made the change. Some people also highlight the new text, so it's easily found. So this reviewer 1 comment, Iris, might be exactly the sort of point you're talking about. I mean, how can one go ahead and accept it if the article is questioned at its very basis, right? So I think one would have to say that, thank you, nicely, right? Thank you for making that point, but perhaps the reviewer hasn't understood the methodology or something like that, or the way in which we have understood the framework. So there's a question about the objective and the framework, right? Maybe the framework hasn't been understood well by the reviewer, and then explain how you understand the framework so it's not in conflict.
And would you frame it like you just said, rather than saying like you, would you say the reviewer?
Definitely, yeah. Use the third person, right, to keep it objective, and keep this polite tone, right? the reviewer, that's right. So, or this comment, right? So keep away from personal argumentation, and just, essentially this comment, which is not an uncommon comment, does suggest a misunderstanding. So it should be, on the other hand, you might want to accept that, and you might want to pursue the argumentation they're suggesting. It's up to you. So somebody else had their hand up.
No, I just wanted, I don't know if there are questions, I'll leave it.
Yeah.
If there are other questions, I can leave it, but I just want to make a comment about what Iris asked, because it happened to me, and rather than saying, oh, there's a misunderstanding of the whole framework, I framed the response around in the methodology of this article, that was not our focus, and we were more focused on this. So it was more hinting around the misunderstanding rather than saying it explicitly. So it would respond anyway to the request, but it's more focusing on what I've done to make this more aligned with what you're asking, rather than saying, oh, this is a misunderstanding. I clarify what I'm saying. That's the only point that I want to make.
Maybe I misexpressed myself. That's a very good point. To explain the way you went about it. So this first comment is a typical sort of comment, kind of fundamental comment. We also find comments like these more helpful comments, like that there's a need to address certain aspects of the paper a week, which really is very helpful, right? It's strengthening the paper in terms of the literature that it covers. Yeah, so would you like to engage? Are those comments about engagement with the literature something that you have encountered or would know how to respond to? Or your underlying arguments, like the central argument contains several points that need to be explored, considered. So thoroughness. So no. So you all know about the format, right? You know about the format, and you feel comfortable. At the beginning, someone raised the question about how you deal with reject. This is more like revise and resubmit, how you deal with a rejection of an article. In my experience, a rejection of an article is usually accompanied by comments of the first type, of the reviewer one, which probably need to be addressed. And the best thing to do is fix the article up in terms of the comments. Would you agree? It's a way. This is a discourse, right? This is a debate in the field. What you are presenting may not be understood or accepted by everyone. So this is coming back to the question of your audience and how you engage with that audience, right? And either stick to your guns or try to make somebody else change their mind. You can do both. It is a confronting process. I think it's a very difficult aspect of our field, the blind peer review process, but it's a very helpful process, right? It is what produces quality research if the reviewing is done properly. Yeah, any comments or questions?
We have Andrew Maxwell question in the chat.
Andrew, yeah. What's
Yeah,
your
yeah. I just that with going back to that first comment, I got a similar comment on feedback that I recently got, and to me, what that indicated was that I needed to make the point clearer, that I hadn't expressed it in a particularly clear way, and so I changed it in the manuscript. Had to highlight it in yellow and on the manuscript, and then address it through this something similar to this, to the effect. Well, thank you for the point. I've tried to make it a bit clearer, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a very positive response. And good on you to acknowledge, right, that in the first draft it wasn't as clear as it could have been. Yeah. I mean, that is the hard part, isn't it? Right? That's also part of the learning of this, the learning that's involved in this. So maybe if we just come back to the full group and just talk about the takeaways from today, what you would, we're right on 3:00. Good timing. What you would take away from today, if you feel clearer about.
You can not share the screen first, maybe. Then we can have the bigger sort of screen.
Not share.
Unshare the screen.
Yeah.
Because at the moment it's the activity number 3.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Because I've got 2 screens.
There you go.
Thanks. Yeah. So do you feel clearer about how you might go about your next public? Yeah, Victoria. The moves were a key takeaway. Oh, good. Yeah, and you've got the article. Yeah, you've got the article to look under. In that article, the examples are great, very helpful. Yeah. Anyone who was reluctant about publishing, do you feel a little bit more confident about how to go about it? Yeah, how might you do that, Iris? What might be one step in that direction?
I think just demystifying what some of the things are. Like it maybe seems kind of obvious once it's pointed out to you, but I think knowing a bit more about some of the practical things of like what constitutes a desk reject and what how to present your feedback, your responses to feedback, like on quite a practical level helps me feel like I do have the knowledge of what to do. I just I just haven't applied it to this context yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a steep learning curve. Somebody else? Yeah, there was one other comment I thought moving from desk, accept, reject to rhetorical moves and then on to, and then on to responding was a good way to get an article published. Okay. Oh, good. That's good. I can thank Ake for some suggestions there. Okay. What about packaging an article? Because some of you, like you said, I've got this research I've done in the past, or I've got some aspect of my PhD. How could I publish that? I mean, that's a big question, isn't it? How you divide up the PhD for publication. I mean, in other disciplines, you have the book, you have the thesis book that you then you put into the published book. But in applied linguistics, more and more it's like the sciences where we divide up the article, which you can do by your results to a certain extent, can't you? Yeah, like one results chapter and another results chapter, that sort of thing. Unless you do the article by publication. Yeah. But how you repackage the lit review for each of those results chapters would need a bit of thought, wouldn't it? Any ideas on that? How to package the PhD for publication?
What I'm doing, trying to repackage it is I've got 3 stages of data collection, and so I'm converting each stage into a separate article,
Exactly.
and then trying to present it in a kind of like a series. So I'm going to go initially with and kind of create a narrative with each of the articles. So hopefully maybe I'll get people following on to read the next article and the next article, and then
that's
it'll make
right.
up my
Well,
PhD.
yeah, forthcoming. Yeah, good idea. And how do you distribute the literature review over those different articles?
Yeah, so they've got different methodologies with the data collection. And so the lit review, I'll have to do a little bit of like refining, I guess, to make sure it matches. It's more specific to the data that I'm extracting from my PhD. So it's a bit of extra work.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot.
Yeah, that's a nice strategy. Yeah, especially as you say, because your method is specific to the data. That's very neat. Yeah, something to think about.
Bronwen, I think we need to wrap up now.
That's
because I think
right.
people need to move and
We do.
to
We all
different
need to
places.
do other
So
things.
look, thank you, Bronwen, for your contribution. It's wonderful. It's so you make it so accessible. I wish I had known you earlier on when I started my career. I would have been
Some
very
other
proud
people
of you.
have said that to me. Okay.
Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to Bronwen, maybe.
Yeah, my email.
Yeah, I've got the email. So thank you, everyone. So let's thank Bronwen for.
And thank you for being there too.
Thank you so much, Bronwen.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank
Have a
you
lovely
for
weekend.
participating. Good
Just
luck.
relax
Will
and
we,
enjoy.
sorry, will we receive the slides?
Yeah, I'll
Wonderful.
send them to wait now. Okay,
Great.
thanks,
Thank you.
Sarah.
And
Thanks.
we
That
will
was really
see
helpful.
you in June, which is like next week.
Okay, great. Okay, lovely to meet you all. Okay, bye.